people have the gift of happiness. And this is a man who has it. He has every reason to be angry and bitter. And he's made a happy life and had 8 children and creates wonderful art. I think this is one of the most uplifting films I've ever seen. I just love it. Vivian, do you want to talk about making the film at all?
What about it?
Maybe you could tell how it all came about.
Sure.
How you first discovered this wonderful man.
He was discovered, I think he discovered himself. But I think it was April 6, 2010, I went to an opening that was a benefit for a program for families with children with autism and the arts. It was held at the Addison Galleries on East 82nd Street, and I walked in and saw this incredible art and saw very little contextual information on the wall, and looked around and saw the man who I figured had to be the artist, and asked him a couple of questions and got these amazing sort of poetic and long and well thought out answers, and I thought, well, there's a film. So then I thought, these people need a film. They don't know anything about this man on the walls. So I got the right emails in the next hour and convinced them the following week to make a short film, which is an 8 or 9 minute film that's currently traveling with a 50-piece retrospective exhibit of Winfred's art that's now in Flint, Michigan, and was in Canadian, Texas, and was in Greenville, South Carolina, and will be in Montgomery, Alabama. And having done the short film, I started poking Ray here saying, you know, come on, got to do some more research. There's a much bigger story here. What's the story with the chain gang going on in the 60s and 70s? And then we did more work, and it took us a while, and we convinced the gallery that there really was a much longer film. And the next week, Ray left for Georgia.
Winfred, I want to ask you one question before I open it up. How did you find the wherewithal within yourself to survive the things that happened to you and still paint such joyful things? Besides the chain gangs, I see the paintings are joyful.
Yes. When I first went to prison, I probably was a bitter person. With 27 years, I didn't feel that I deserved that. I really looked at it. I really didn't commit a crime. The only crime I committed was when I stole that car. And I hadn't stolen that car to save my life. So I didn't commit a crime at all. So, for a reason sometimes. And like I said, when I first went to prison, I was a bitter guy. I met Patsy. And that changed my whole life and my whole way of thinking. I knew that if I was able to convince her to marry me when I got out, that we was going to have a family and children. And I knew if I was bitter and hated, I knew my children were going to take right after me. So I put all of that behind me, and I just let things happen. And for some reason, I'm not a bitter guy, I love everybody. I don't suggest you go to prison to be an artist and all that. But like I say, I'm a believer, and I believe that things happen for a reason sometimes, Those 7 years, when I first went in there, I couldn't read and write. And there were school teachers who were on the chain gang who was demonstrating for their cause back in the 60s. And there was these 5 school teachers, and they thought I was a good candidate for them to teach. Wow. And that's how I learned how to read and write and count and all kind of things they taught me.
That sounds so wonderful. I'd like to open it up to questions, if anybody has any questions or comments. Yeah.
What shows have you had in New York, and what shows are you presently across the country? Are there any shows?
Yes, I have a show now in Flint, Michigan. I have this past weekend here in New York, and also this past weekend in Boston I have a show.
It's still on.
Yeah, that show is, all of these shows are like from 4 to 6 week shows, you know, and a lot of things are happening. I thank God for that.
I saw one over there, and then I'll get to you. There was a question. Yeah, could you stand up, please?
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing film and amazing life. I just wondered, you had a 27-year sentence, but you were in prison for 7 years?
Yes.
So what happened to...
So the question is, how come if you had a 27-year sentence, you got out after 7 years?
Well, after the last 2 years, maybe 2.5, could be 3 years, I became a trusted inmate. That means I can move around and do different things without a guard. And that's how I was able to stalk Patsy. There was no guard with me. There was nobody telling me not to stop the bus. So. And I knew I was in prison, so I went and with 27 years. So what are they going to charge me with? What was the question? So what happened now? I said I became a trusted inmate, and every day for the last 2.5 years, maybe 3. That's been a long time ago. It's kind of hard to remember everything for exact dates, but I'll say 2.5 years. I wrote a letter every night, and when I would get near people, I would drop the letter on the ground and hope they would pick it up and mail it. And so after 3 years, someone finally picked up a letter and mailed it. I had it addressed to a congressman out in the state of California by the name of Ron Devils, and he got me out.
You are so resourceful. You had a question?
Has any of your 8 children inherited your talents, or have you taught them?
I tried to teach them, and well, I got them doing a little few things now, but they don't seem to want to do the tubing, and I would really just kind of in defense of them say this, that everybody can't tube leather. It's a hard job, and you really have to have the knack and cut out for that type of thing. I've tried my children, grandchildren, and they just can't do it. It's the way you have to hold the tubes and the way you have to bang on them as you move them around. It's a hard thing to do, but hey, I've been doing stuff a long time, and I had the knack. And there's a lot of things that I do when it comes to art, not just these pictures. I was given a gift, and I had time to learn things when I was in the cotton field, 3-4 years old. And it was this plant that grew in the cotton field called maypops. And those maypops, they're the shape of an egg and the size of an egg. And I used to pick them all day long and put heads on them and feet and legs. And at the end of the day, I have just the biggest cattle ranch that you ever want to see. So anything, rocks, wood, I pick up anything and make something out of it. Yes.
Fran?
Outside of your watching that guy in prison do that you absorbed and learned so quickly, what did you do? He didn't paint it and you did.
Well,
how did you mix the paints?
No, the paint comes off ready to be dyed. That's not painted dyes. And they come ready to use, shoe dye.
Because your whites are so bright.
Well, at the time we started, there was no white.
Really?
White just came along in the last 5 years.
And do you use any leather?
All leather I use, yes, ma'am.
I think there's something we'd like to add down here that
And then I'll get to you.
No, I think that Winfred's gift is expressed in his children in a big way and in a different way. I think both Winfred Jr., who's in the back, and Lillian, who's in the film, are amazing storytellers. And the gift of storytelling lives on in Winfred's genes, whether or not they're allowed or can express it in painting, or whether it just comes out of their mouths and they can't even help themselves.
Gentlemen, you had a question?
Yeah, had you ever been to an art exhibit or a museum or where you know what other artists before you had accomplished?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just beginning to do that type of thing.
Did everyone hear the question? I think the question was that Joan asked if Winfred goes to museums and is influenced by other artists, or how he feels about that.
I say 10 years ago, I never knew who Horace Pippin was. Any famous artist whatsoever. And it's something I don't follow that much. I have so many stories to tell in my work until I really don't have that time to see what other artists are doing. I'm trying to put as much of my life as I possibly can to leave here on this earth, you know, to tell the story of Winfred Rembert and the people around him.
I want to ask another question.
Wait, we have a question here. Did you have a question, ma'am? No? Okay.
Did the dots, the white dots, is that from the cotton?
That is the cotton.
That is the cotton.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce,
Because
did
you
you
know,
have?
did you ever see the Australian Aborigine art with the dots?
No, man, I don't know.
Bruce, did you have a question?
It seems like so difficult to tool the leather. Before you do the painting on the leather, do you do a sketch of that?
He does, he draws
in
it.
anticipation of what you're going to do?
When I first started, I drew every picture on paper first. But now, that was 12 years ago. So some things, depending on the subject matter, I'll draw. If it's a difficult picture, a lot of people in it, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 people, I'll draw it.
Yeah,
But
I can see that you draw it.
like that particular one on the right there, I would have to draw that. But that one on the left, I kind of got good enough with my knife to not have to draw it, just start off with nothing and cut it right in.
Wow. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. I was going to say, by the way, in the 60s, you were going through all that. I was actually at Yale as a student, you know, in the first group of blacks they were bringing. I was wondering what you might say if you were with young black men, say in their late teens, early 20s, say from the south side of Chicago or from, I live in Brooklyn, there's a section called Brownsville.
That's where I grew up.
And it is, you know, it's just rough. You know, and the kids have rough lives, and the murder rate is very, very high.
Right.
And it's the kids killing the kids. And then the other problem too is really the lack of fatherhood. As you know, if you were sitting with a group of kids, I was wondering what you would
I
say.
love that. I love that. That's one of my main objectives is to talk to children. I do a lot of that. You know, I go around to schools and colleges and things and talk to people. Let's just face it. It's black on black crime. And it's, seems to me there's no other race of people who have that problem of killing each other. And there's a reason for that. What is it? Who said that? Well, listen, we have been programmed. We are a programmed people. And we still live with the program from back in, 500, 600 years ago. You know what? I still love kittens. That ain't no, that's because they were fed to us. I still love pig feet. Pig feet was something that was fed to us. And I still have the taste for it. And like I say, there's a reason for that. So now, our parents are babies too, who haven't been taught about their own life. So how can they teach their children? Every ethnic group of people teach their children about their life and upbringing, except us. A few of us too, but not enough to make a difference. Because once you know about your heritage and your life and what your people went through, then you can understand and not have the black on black crime, because you just wouldn't have it. Then you would respect all of the people who've gone on ahead of you, who've given up their lives so you wouldn't be called a nigger or whatever, so that you can have a full life in America. So I think we need to teach our children more. We have to get it together sometime, some way or another. You know, I'm not a school teacher or anything like that, but it has something that's got to be done so we can stop killing each other. As a matter of fact, you know what I heard when I was in Flint, Michigan last week? That these group of white folk went downtown Chicago and just threw out a bag of guns on the corner to the black kids. Just gave them guns. And you know, that's kind of rough. You know, and the kids on the corner they can't say no to the guns. You know, because they're shooting up each other. So we got to do something about that. But I want to go to Chicago. I want to go to Chicago so I can sit down and talk to some of these kids. You know,
I see that you have a question.
I think you wanted to say
Oh,
something.
you want Patsy? Did you want?
He asked a question, and we both collaborate on this question. And what I'm saying now is, and I've said it all along, is because they've given the black woman the power, in a sense, not say give it to her, but she's learned not to associate herself with her bringing up. Women my age, and I don't mind saying it, women my age, black women my age, who refuse to be the mother and teach the children what was taught to them. They separated themselves from it. And they also separated themselves from their husband. Some of it was through welfare, some of it was through education. Some got educated and decided, well, I don't need a man. Well, you got the children with the man, and he needs to be there. We can only serve one purpose. We are the mother. We cannot be both. When a woman bring a child up by herself, and that child is successful, she's done a great job. But it's a struggle with two parents. My boys cannot learn from me what Winfred can teach them. I have to teach them what I know, and that's respect for others. But that is the problem. The black woman separated herself from her raising and pushed the man out of their life. I'm not saying that it was easy, but once you choose to have children, you are responsible for them. I don't blame the children for the killing and stuff they're doing. I blame the parent. And usually it's the mother, because she decided, can't put up with this man no more, he's out of my life.
One thing, let me add to that.
And then I'll
Is
get
that nothing comes in our home that our money don't buy. My kids can't bring stuff to the home. They can't wear a diamond ring and I didn't buy it. They can't bring nothing, I don't care what it is, to that house, to that household that we didn't provide or they did bought by working. You know, now if one of my boys come in and he's got on a gold watch, now I know that something's wrong there. How did he get that gold watch, you know? Let's face it, and he probably got it illegally. So what Patsy do, everything come in the house that she takes a hammer and smashes it.
Can we have Patsy stand up so we can all see
Yes,
her
Patsy,
daughter?
could you stand up and take a bow?
Yes.
Back there, but I have to say one thing, and that is, in this country, it has not been a level playing field for black people and for white people. And that is a big part of the problem. Everyone is not getting equal education, everybody's not getting equal opportunities.
That's so true.
And that is part of the
But
problem.
you have to use what you got.
Live on what you
Yeah,
have.
you have to live on what you got and use what you got.
There's a,
I see she really wants to ask a
Please stand up so we can hear you.
I do want to ask a question, and I think maybe I'm naive to ask this, but I want to know what you're excited about right now. What are you going to work on the next time you're in your studio? Are there new techniques you're excited about, new colors, new...
The question is, what are you excited about now? What are you working on? Are you looking for new techniques?
Well, I hate to say this, but I'm working on a cotton field. Cotton fields seem to be what people want, so what can I say? You know, I would love to move on, and I've said time after time that I'm going to move on from those cotton fields, but
Still to stick to your roots, literally and figuratively.
Ma'am, you have,
Yeah. Well, I like the fact that you acknowledge who you are, where you are, and you're able to impact that on others. So I have a school that I'm involved with in a community where we have to constantly expose us K through 8, but right now it's to the 4th grade. And I saw that there's educational initiatives with the film, but how are you addressing spreading the word, using it for education, I guess? Is it age appropriate? Can it be for any grade level?
it could be any grade level. I have a talk for any grade.
Okay.
ma'am, back there?
Two things.
Can you stand up?
Yes, how do you conceive your next picture? Does it just come to you?
The
like
question
overnight?
is, how do you conceive your next picture? Does it just come to you, or?
I've been blessed with a picture-forward mind memory of myself growing up. And I have so many pictures inside of my head, just picture after picture. And then when I don't have them, I just go to Georgia and walk around for a couple of days, and I got a lot of them.
Where in New York is your show now?
Where in New York can they see your pictures?
Where is that show?
It just closed.
Where was it?
It was at the outside of art fairs. So
But there are some, is there some stuff at Christian's? Michelle?
What?
Where could, are they seeing your paintings in New York?
At your
Come talk to us after the show.
Okay.
And walk up to those two.
Yeah.
But can they
But she
see
wants
them
to know
at
where
your
can she
gallery?
go and see the work.
In New York.
We can give you our information, yeah.
So, it's the Adelson Gallery?
No, that's a different gallery.
Oh.
We're Kins Toulouse Fine Art.
Okay. That woman has his paintings, and they can be seen in New York.
Tell her she can go on the internet and see all of your work.
But you can go on the internet and type my name and just see all kind of works and where they are.
I'm going to take a few more questions, ma'am.
I assume you got out of prison about the age of 26, and you went into the art gallery at Yale as an older man. What did you do in between to make a living for this entire family?
Well, the last couple of years on when I was in prison, I told you I was a trusted inmate. So I learned how to operate heavy equipment. And the guys that taught me how to read and write, they taught me so well that I became a surveyor.
Wow.
I became a surveyor, and in the last year or two I was in prison, I built roads for the institution. So they didn't have to go out and hire a person, they had one right there. So, and by me being, can I tell you a story?
Yes. Sure.
There was this inmate, trusted inmate, and he was from Macon, Georgia. And when I became a trusted inmate, I went out and worked with him on the roads. He was a surveyor. And I asked him to teach me the ins and outs about surveying. And he wouldn't do it. And finally, one day, 10 days before he was going home, he called me. He said, I'm going to teach you how the ins and outs about surveying. I said, well, why you wouldn't teach me in the beginning? He said, because if you're the only somebody in the prison who knows how to do it, that means you can do a lot of things and won't get punished for it. So that sounded kind of good. So I was able to go see Patrick when I wanted, you know, that type of thing. And I had a key to the prison. When at night at 12 o'clock, I would let myself out, go in the laundry and put on clothes. And then I would go out and then come back 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and let myself in and put on my prison clothes and get in the bed.
He wasn't coming to see me though.
Okay, I'm going to take 2 more questions.
Hi, I was just curious, do you feel like since you've gotten so much recognition that your work has changed and like how the audience, you know, whether there's an impact of the audience on your themes? Or
Did everyone hear that? The question was, how do you feel now that your work is recognized? Have you changed? Is that the question?
Yeah. Well, the work, whether the work has changed,
Whether
whether
the
he
work
takes
has
it into
changed.
consideration. Because you said earlier, seems to be what people want, that you're working on cotton fields still.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be something people wanted. I'm just curious to find out, you know.
Have the work changed? Oh, no, I haven't changed and the work's the same.
The colors have changed.
Yeah, that's the only thing that changed the colors, because when I first started, they only had about 7 or 8 colors, and they all were like the different shades of brown and black. And
green.
in the last, say 8 years, they come up with now with all these different colors, and which is a great thing, you know.
You've also been doing smaller works too.
Yes.
Hun, you forgot to tell him, he don't work on one piece at a time. He's working on
Yeah, I work on about 4 or 5 pieces at the same time.
You don't just work on one piece?
Unless it's a piece that I really want to get out there and a nice subject matter to it, and I really want to get it done, and give it to Peter. Y'all saw Peter in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Y'all know who Peter is?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. He's the guy that had the Bentley.
Did he ever give
That's
you a
Michelle's
ride?
uncle.
Did he ever give you a ride in that Bentley?
No, he didn't. I had to hold him to that.
I'll take your question.
Hello.
Hi.
It struck me as interesting, you called your studio space the battleground.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious of what your process is of creating. Do you have a routine? Do you work in the morning? Do you work all the time? What's that all about?
Well, I usually get up around 5 o'clock and go in there and work till around noon. And then I go back maybe 11 o'clock that night and work till 3 a.m. in the morning.
So you fall asleep.
Now, but see, because I do all night long. And now they've gotten used to it. It don't bother me anymore. They used to keep it about it. And then it's not just like that. It's just different, depending on what I'm trying to achieve, the speed that I do. You know?
It's like an out of control.
And the depth that the calm. And so it's about 5 or 6 different speeds that you have to use.
And he travels with a piece of marble so he doesn't drive people crazy in
Yeah,
hotels to put underneath it.
When I no longer hear it, then I know he's asleep. So then I go down and say, go to bed. That's
you can, when you fall asleep doing this kind of work, you can invent some good color.
I'm going to take one more question. I saw.
You mentioned Horace Pippin. What do you think of him and maybe some of the other African American artists that you have come across?
I like Charles White.
Yeah.
He's my favorite. Now,
The question, if you didn't hear it, is what do you think of the other black artists?
Horace Pippin and Jacob Lawrence, Robert Beard, you know, all of a sudden I'm seem to be getting compared to these guys. So that's kind of great for me. That kind of tells me that it's possibly that I could be in the history books one day.
You're gonna be. One more question.
I wanted to say that even though he's not an artist, you're similar to another black man, Nelson Mandela, who was actually sentenced for exactly 27 years, and yet he was in prison for his whole sentence, and yet he was able to.
I'm sure among the black
community. Have you ever thought about Nelson Mandela?
People who were.
Hey, nobody have a question for Vivian?
I actually did, but I wasn't able to. I actually did have a question for
Stand
Vivian.
up, please.
I've been raising my hand for a while. So Vivian, how much of the film, we met before at the Hamptons Film Festival, how much of your film, since you started in 2010, contained older footage? I like the way a lot of that was mixed in, but I know there was some of Winfred from prior to 2010. And
But nothing changed since the Hamptons, it's the same film you saw then. So that's what you're asking.
No, I'm not asking that, I'm just commenting that we met before, but I was wondering how much of the footage was from prior to 2010 in the film.
Of Winfred, I mean, of Winfred, there's, or of archive, of Winfred, there's footage that looks sort of jerky from, at the Yale show from 2000, which was before I knew Winfred. There's footage, that was mostly, and then there's archival images that Ray excavated from their basement. Patsy's been keeping all these pictures of the family. I say to Winfred, do you have any family photos? No. Do you have any letters? No. And then Patsy like is in the background, Winfred, we have the money. Go, shh, Patsy, we're filming. So it's
listen, I want to say this to the audience. Ray Siegel here, no one said it, asked him a question yet, but I want to tell you something about him. When he was interviewing me, he was asking me all my friends' names. And, you know, a lot of names down south, you don't really know real names, you know their nicknames. Black Hall, Bubba Duke and Feet, Papa Screwball. You know, there's so many names. But whatever I gave Ray, he found every person. So that party at the very end of the film, that means so much to me. More than any part of the film, at that very end, at that party. Because every schoolmate, every person on the street, everything, he found them and they was at that party. And that was so great. So I never get tired of
Vivian and Ray. Winfred, I'm so happy to have met you. And Patsy. Patsy is adorable. I like Patsy. So I want to thank you all for coming. There are copies of this DVD.
We're selling them back there for $18. We're selling posters of the film. And
Right.
whoever finds our camera, we lost it in here. So if this camera doesn't belong to you.
You know what? I have some prints too.
Oh, great.
I have some very beautiful prints for sale, and so I would like you to take a look at them. Okay?
Okay.
And also, Michelle, I think she got these two pictures for sale. So.
And we have a website and a Facebook page, which of course you have to go and like. And we've got since it's been on television, we have this whole world of people who are writing in thinking that I am Winfred and telling me how much they love me. And
Patsy, I want Vivian to take a picture of the three of us.
So I'm going to sit right here with the prints. Anybody want to see the prints? I'm going to sit right here at the table.